All I want you to do is sit there and look bored.
Okay.
That's good. All right. Maybe you can shrug now and then. Okay. Yeah. Try it out. Okay. So that's this piece. I call it hug versus shrug. Oh, yeah, good. Hate is not the only opposite of love. Observe, if you will, indifference. Sitting all alone, deadpan, blank stare, there is a contender. I mean, love and hate are like two sides of the same coin, cast of passion and focus, whereas indifference isn't a coin at all. It's more like a line of bad credit that devalues everything. Love says, call me whenever. Hate says, don't call me ever. Indifference says, whatever. Whatever. I love you is hard to do. I hate you is hard to hear. I indifference you, well, that's just hard to respond to. I mean, it's hard to challenge, it's hard to change. When faced with a fist, it shrugs. When faced with a kiss, its lips don't even move to say yay or nay. This is the real challenge of our time. Good versus bland. Yes versus so. Hug versus shrug. In love is action. In action is change. So I say today, live in love. Don't live in difference. Thank you. Now, there is one element of kindness that does get a bit of attention, and that is random acts of kindness. Now, if you've ever experienced a random act of kindness, it can be incredibly powerful. Somebody that gives you something or does something for you that you didn't earn or you didn't deserve. You know what that sounds like to me? It sounds like grace. But I actually think kindness, acts of kindness, can be a form of domestic grace. Perhaps even a force of domestic grace. It's that important. But I do have a problem with random acts of kindness. And, I'm a Christian, so I do try to live in the way of the Christ, i.e., what would Jesus do? And so I try to imagine, Jesus did say some pretty out there things, saying, if somebody slaps you on the left cheek, let them slap you on the right cheek. As far as I'm concerned, that's pretty out there. But I can't imagine Jesus saying, be kind randomly, or love your neighbour randomly, or love your enemies with randomness. That's not what Jesus was about. I think Jesus was about regular, routine, ritual, habitual. Because these are the things that actually change the way we think, change the way we act, which actually mean changing the world. Now, I've done a lot of work with schools over the last year or two, and I worked with a primary school last year, the grade 5s and 6s particularly. As a public school, it was in a tough area with pretty tough kids, but they were lovely kids at the same time. But I was really impressed by the principal and the teachers I was working with. They recognised that for many of the students they worked with, well, their lives were random. And random in that context meant chaotic and stressful. And so the school itself had to sort of fill in those elements of parenting that were lacking, adding in predictability, stability, accountability. So that was something that the school consciously did. So I was there for a long time. So I did about 4 months working with these students, doing writing workshops, doing performance. And interestingly, apparently, after working with them for those months, what made the biggest impact was not my sort of wise, witty words, and it wasn't even the beautiful words, the beautiful performances they created for themselves. But it was just the fact that I was regular. I kept turning up, and I would listen to them when they talked, and I was sort of trustworthy within that context. That actually made a big impact on these students. And I actually also see that in my own art form. Like here I am a poet and a performer, but I was a terrible writer, and I didn't do any performance through school. So I didn't pass English in year 12. I was no good at writing then. But I just happened to writing little funny poems that entertained my friends. And I didn't do any performance up until I was about 18. I was just, I was nice and quiet and dreamy. That's how I survived high school. So, interestingly though, I just kept doing these things. Like, I just kept writing little poems. Then, for some reason, I could talk to people and it wasn't too stressful. Kept writing, kept speaking, kept writing, kept speaking. And then just by doing it continually, I just started to get a little bit better, a bit more comfortable doing it all. So, I actually think it's through being regular, routine, and habitual that change, like real change, happens. And things like kindness needs practice too. You know, that's how it actually becomes part of just the fibre of who we are and just how it informs our choices. Just as indifference is actually a choice. It's a choice not to care. Kindness is a choice to care routinely. That's what I would say. That random acts of kindness can be actually really nice and powerful, but they'll never deeply change anything because they're so random. That if you actually really want to change things, things have to be regular. Regular acts of kindness is what really changes things. So, I myself didn't come up with this concept of random acts of kindness, so regular acts of kindness. But I actually, last year I commissioned a whole lot of writers, Christian thinkers, to write meditations on a whole lot of different issues. So Tim Costello wrote about culture, and I got faith and doubt, getting people to think about these concepts. And then with those meditations, I wrote poems and prayers to fit in with them. And I commissioned my wife, because she is a professional writer, so I thought I was allowed to commission her. And she wrote about kindness. And so for me, I was like, okay, I wanted to write a poem that really matched in with what she'd written, some of the concepts I've been talking about. And so I was actually reminded of her favourite childhood pet, which was the guinea pig. And I just thought, oh, guinea pigs, kindness. Maybe I could fit them together in a nice little metaphor. Because the book is called The Zoo in You, so it had a real animal theme. So I wanted to find an animal that represented kindness. So I decided in the end to write this poem. And I'm going to end with this poem. Here it is. Kindness is a guinea pig. A lady at the back. A lady at the bank. Let me go first in line. A guinea pig jumped through my chest and snuggled in, softening my cold, calculating heart. A guy I've never met before compliments my new shoes. A guinea pig hops in my sock and starts nipping my heels until I'm giggling like a 3-year-old. Who likes my shoes? I run into this old school friend on the street, and she hugs me so tight. I can feel like a whole family of guinea pigs leap onto the back of my neck and run down my spine. Now, if these little bundles of warmth are shared around, they breed like crazy. And I'm convinced you can never have too many guinea pigs huddling in the hutch of your hearts. Kindness is a guinea pig. Thank you.